we will pick back up pretty much right where we left off, but not from the point of view of Adhira. As the group of you assembled here to confront the engineers, suddenly find yourselves plunged into flickering darkness. The steel superstructure that was the central pillar of this engineering project has been crushed and folded inwards on itself. There is shorn metal that acts as arcing pathways for lightning from machinery that is no longer functioning, and all of the crystalline lights and otherwise have flickered off, meaning the only light that you guys have is when this energy arcs through the air and the room flashes blue from different angles. You see illuminated in these brief flashes the stunned sort of support engineers and staff just kind of stood around on gangways, kind of aghast and staring down at an unconscious Adhira that is kind of... Clara, would you have let go of her while that was happening, or would you have held on tighter? Like, what would your reaction to what just happened be?
I don't think I have much of a choice. I haven't let her arm go, so I think she's just flopped down. I'm like trying to hold her up.
Yeah, so like at Clara trying to maintain, you know, some level of upright for Adhira as the entry stair, the lead engineer on the ground, restrained still by steel wrapped around their like arms and legs, like eyes wide, 1,000-yard stare. Sky herself is like between holding the arm of Elias and reaching out for Adhira. She's like sort of caught in confusion between these two, like, I need to hold on to this person so they know where they are, and I need to support Adhira. She's sort of like stuck between the two in that moment. Elias himself has his head turned to one side and his ear pointed at Adhira and is kind of listening intently to her. Does anyone want to do anything in this moment?
I think positioning-wise, like after taking, I think, a solid 2 seconds just to try to come to grips with what just happened and assessing the situation, Dafa would, with a rather brisk walk, move to interpose himself between where I assume Adhira and Clara are, and where other engineers would be. I assume there's like,
so
not like
block engineers from approaching Clara and Adhira, so like standing in the gangway to sort of be like, no one can get past you. Is that the sort of...
For now, if the situation relaxes, I think Dafa would start to move, and like if others start also filling in behind, I think he'd start to move towards the head engineer to get him out. But first priority is make sure nobody gets to those two.
Elias, quiet enough so that your group can hear, but not so loud that it sort of like echoes to anyone else nearby, says, her breathing sounds normal. Her heart is racing. I think she's in shock of some description.
I think she might just be exhausted. Can someone give me a hand, please?
At this point, Elias sort of nods to Sky and says, go to her. Sky lets go of Elias and goes to assist you in holding up Adhira, Clara. As the two of you take an arm each, you're able to lift her much easier this way.
Aye, aye,
aye. Elias goes over, kind of puts hands on rail, follows it to where he heard the head engineer drop, gets on one knee, kind of like with a hand reaches and finds his shoulder, and kind of softly says, I fear you may have been misled in what you have done so far, as the actions of our spirit friend here are testament to. There will be repercussions for what has been done. But we can fix it. I need your help. You'll have to guide me as to where this was found so that we can restore it. Elias turns his head towards the group of you and says, leave Adhira and the head engineer to Sky and I. The rest of you look around and see if you can't find anything else that we might not get from a conversation with the engineers. There should be some sort of central office here. Look at the steel work. Look at everything. See if you can find anything.
Afer would take a look back at where Elias and Hero, Sky and Clara are. Give one last testing look to see okay, definitely all clear. We're good there.
The
all safe.
Engineers seem to be more soothed by the fact that Elias is taking control of the situation than anything else, you would say. They were completely lost, and now someone looks like they're in charge, and they look much more placated, as it were, at this moment. Dafer.
I think in this very moment, Dafer takes, having noticed that, Dafer takes a lot of mental notes on how people react in such situations, and very much tries to sear into his mind, particularly the tone of voice Elias used, and how he phrased his commands, specifically, to get to this essentially aura that he's exuding.
You take a moment to sort of think it through.
And then nods and trying to imitate the vibe to a degree, with rather than a brisk step, a more calm, measured step, and walk with a carefully neutral facial expression. Move onward through the crowd, trying to find such an office.
Give me a performance check with advantage.
And while doing so, he would look for Uther and or Caliban to come with. Performance check.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still in the dark, yeah?
6. Yeah, still in the dark, still flickers. Dafer, their eyes are sort of fixed on Elias, and as you take up this confident pose, no one challenges you, but no one kind of gets out of the way. You sort of have to make way because their attention is so fixed on the next word that he's about to say. So yeah, unfortunately, you sort of, with your mimicking confidence, still fall short of the sort of attention that they have on him in this moment. But you are able to make your way through.
I'm going to catch up to Dafer and just pull out my knife so that way we can have a little bit of light on the situation.
That orange light joins the flickering blue as a more consistent source of light in the dark here. If the two of you are looking for the office, one of you give me an investigation check, or, well, I suppose one of you advantage since you're working together.
Therapy, my guest.
Wow.
You, looking around, you do see said office. It is maybe 2 floors up, as it were, but you can see where whatever Adhira's done is shorn through the central pillar. It's taken out a lot of the gangways and stairways that would lead there. You can't easily see a good path to it right now, Uther.
That's nice. Adhere and Terminus's little display has cut us off, and I'm going to point in the general direction of where we gotta be.
Do I... I blanked for parts of the description. I assume some kind of bridge has collapsed.
Yeah.
There was a catwalk to it.
What is the distance, and is it like a freestanding one? So like, are there walls nearby? Are there not?
It's 2 floors up. It's built into the cliff wall, and it does have like lattice works of steel around it. There were bridges and stairs that connected to it, but all of them have collapsed. So it's basically like 2 floors up, and there are broken pathways to it that would require some level of jumping and or climbing in order to reach at this point.
Having the eidetic memory that Dafer has, he distinctly remembers that Uther still has his shooting grappling gun, and points exactly that out. You want to...
A grappling gun?
Some kind of thing like that.
Yeah, you have the thing that when it's attached to a rope, you can use it to pulley yourself along. But I think, did that get broken in the chase?
No, I have
no,
that,
you still got
but
it.
I don't have a grappling gun to go with that.
So one of you would have to throw a rope up and kind of get it attached to something or something like that.
I feel like finding a rope should not be that hard.
I imagine Uther has a rope. It's throwing it up.
Yeah. Which I can try. I can give an attempt.
Give me an athletics check with advantage, Dafer.
Okay.
9.
Wow!
You throw it up. There's no... I don't think you guys have, like, a hook or anything on the end of it, though, do you? You don't have any sort of... No.
We'd have to, like, basically throw it up, try to get it over something, and then get it to lower down in the same...
Yeah, so in this moment, Dafer, you like throw it up, try and get it into like this tangle of metal so that it catches, but it goes up and just slips through the middle at this point as you're unable to get a proper purchase.
How hard is 2 stories if you get...
Like, maybe like 4 times your height, Uther, or something like that.
25 feet. Okay, that brings up more talk.
While Uther and Dafer have headed off this way, does anyone else want to do anything? Obviously, Adhira, you are unconscious and in the void. Clara and Caliban. I don't know, Clara, if you'd be comfortable leaving Adhira with Sky and Elias or not, but...
I'm gonna say probably not. I also reckon there's probably something I can do here, like maybe having a bit more of a look at how all of the mushrooms were like being attached to this thing when it was still a thing.
Yeah, I think either perception or investigation or arcana, any of those 3 would work for me.
Okay. To open my sheet. God. Perception, investigation. Oh, okay. One of these is going to be way better than the others.
Perception.
24.
In the brief flashes of light, kind of tracing through the different bits of steelwork that were broken and what is intact, you can see that most of the central structure that was housing the main body of this mycelial heart has been like ripped open like a rib cage, exposing the innards. But a lot of the structure that still holds it in place above and below is still there. It doesn't look like anything's about to like come crashing down, as it were. As much as Terminus really gutted this place, it was more like, it wasn't to destroy anything, it was more angry than that, right? It was just tearing at the closest thing possible. Looking at the extra tubes that lead through into like the growing pillars and things like that, you can see that a lot of the more delicate pieces, like the crystalline connections, have broken in places. You're by no means an expert at what you're looking at, Clara, but you can tell that all of the very important stuff of this structure has been destroyed. There are ambaric shards that are cracked and just arcing lightning and will very soon be out of charge. There are delicately, perfectly sized crystal rods that are chipped or otherwise cracked, that are no longer aligned, and whatever magic was supposed to come from them is either going to not work or work in some haphazard, who knows way if someone tries to turn this thing back on. I don't know if there would be anything amongst all that you'd be particularly interested in looking at or figuring out, because you did roll a 24, which is quite high.
I think I will pass the information on to Sky.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stay with her. If you want to go have a look around, you've probably got more of an idea than I have. Engineering is not my strong suit.
Sky looks around, looks to you, nods, looks at you, Caliban, and says, some of this steel had to come from... Well, there's a lot here. I can't think of them not having to make a deal with some sort of foundry. Maybe we can find a mark on some of this, and kind of directs you, Caliban, to come with her towards where some of the, like, bigger beams have been ripped out and kind of discarded along the gangways. Caliban, you watch as Sky gets near one of these I-beams. You see the ripple of her ability kind of course through her, and she puts her strength into lifting a section of steel. Would you give me an investigation or perception check to look over it to see if you can find any sort of mark or name or anything like that inscribed into it?
1 sec.
19.
There we go.
You recognize the stylized initials of D and A. Dogmatic Automotive, also the group that supplied your train, the Naiad's Dawn. They are a company that mainly manufactures train chassis and other bodies, but they do have extensive steel foundries. Looking at the beam, it looks like the steel work here came from one of their factories or foundries, however you want to put it.
Is there... Well, this is just like a steel beam, right?
This is like an I-beam that's been used, or was originally used for like bracing a gangway that's been ripped away right now, that Sky's lifted up for you, yeah.
Okay, so... Yeah, I don't think Caliban has any particular speciality in, like, observing, like, the make and model of, like, steel manufacturing, so...
No. You'd obviously recognize the company logo, but other than that...
Yeah, the best I can do is just, like, communicate this information.
Sky nods, says, whether they knew what they were supplying materials or not for, it's interesting to know, if nothing else. Meanwhile, back with Dafer and Uther, how do you guys want to proceed from here with the rope having slipped through the gaps, as it were?
I think Dafer is just looking kind of befuddled. I'll take my low rolls as an initiative that Dafer is just straight up exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like he tries to think of something, but at this point, after this long, he's just coming up blank.
What about you,
And, like,
Uther?
it shows on his face.
Is there enough wreckage that I could try to climb?
Yeah, of course you can. Either acrobatics or athletics, I'd accept at this point.
Then yeah, I'm just going to toss one end of the rope down. Just deep sigh. I guess I'm going to put the knife in my mouth. I don't want to lose this fucking knife.
as you put the flaming dagger that can't hurt you because it's not hot in your mouth, which is probably the coolest visual I can think of with you this flaming dagger between your teeth. Yeah, go ahead and give me a check to climb.
Just backs up a few steps and just gets a good run and go.
15. You get a good jump. You're using your hands on like exposed shorn steel, but you're able to find handholds that don't like dig into the skin at all. You get about halfway up when you feel your weight shift something. Uther, you give me an athletics check, please.
Oh no.
11 is enough. As you shift, one of your hands slips from the hold, but you manage to hold on with one long enough to get the other hand back up. Can you give me another acrobatics check? Exhausted from being underground for as long as you have, you are still able to sort of kip up, engage the core, push up, so your hands go up, and like sort of more flop forward onto the top enough that your weight is there and you can swing your legs up. You find yourself on the office floor level.
Now, if Dafer was to throw the rope up, I will catch it and tie it off to something.
Yeah,
steady.
easily done. Dafer is able to throw the rope up to you. You catch it, tie it off, and Dafer is able to work their way up without any real problems. You two find yourself cracked windows, glass shattered. The inside of like a nice looking office, a lot of stuff is disheveled, but it's not like completely spilled everywhere. There is one engineer underneath one of the desks, sort of just head over the, like hands over the top of their head, like curled up, looking left and right in the flashing, flickering lights, but otherwise just sort of checked out.
How you doing, buddy?
He looks up at you and says, is it miasmic?
No, local nature spirit didn't appreciate the reallocation of the mycelium.
Is it safe?
At the
Spirit
moment,
has
yes.
calmed down.
He gets out from underneath the desk and sort of slowly stands up, looking around, and you can see him taking in the work that's been done that's just destroyed as his eyes kind of drift slowly over all of it, taking it in. Is there anything you two would like to do?
I'd be scanning, like my eyes would be scanning around for like anything, obviously in terms of documentation, anything that could like be easily grabbed that he might have grabbed, like this engineer that does not look like the head engineer.
Give me an investigation or perception check.
Okay, investigation.
And what about you, Uther, as Dafer kind of looks over the paperwork and scans it and looks over everything that you can find?
I guess I'll just try to keep this guy talking a little bit and see what I can get out of him.
Yeah, are you just like calmly talking to him, like just sort of using the shock a little bit to see if you could just get him talking to sort of spill some stuff? Yeah, okay. Give me a persuasion check, I think. Say with advantage, because he is in shock, as it were.
Yay, trauma to my advantage. It didn't matter.
12. Dave, going over the paperwork from everything that's kind of on the table, you find a couple of things. One, there is a field report for the extraction of the mycelium heart. And as you're glancing over it, you can see two B rank EK titles are signed off on having been on the mission: Temperance and Idol. IDO.
Idol.
Yeah, Idol.
Okay, that's what I was looking to
IDOL, like You also see there are some documents here that have been, like, resource requests, different allocations, have been signed off by a judge by the name of Crystal Zalar, and I will spell it because it is Crystal with a K, which won't help you like that. Unfortunately, Uther, as you start talking to the guy, he just starts talking about, like, how long it's gonna take to fix this back up. Like, he's sort of, like, talking about the work that's in front of him as he's looking at it.
Okay, that's fine. Once I'm sure he's calm and not going to be a problem, I'm going to have him sit down somewhere while we finish looking around. Tell him that we'll get him down here in a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, looking through the rest of it together, you guys find bits and pieces of stuff that you'd already found. There's called, like, Project Transplant, that you can see, like, designs of the structure, again, split up into different pieces, but there's, like, most of it here, but, I mean, you can see it in front of you now as you're looking around. There doesn't seem to be too much more that you guys discover that you aren't either already aware of or seems too useful as you're looking at it.
What do you think, Dafer?
I think that we have a name for the person responsible for this. Beyond this, like, I would be whispering that so the engineer is not listening in.
Yeah, he's gone out onto the what is now a balcony that used to just be the path away from here, and he's, like, looking around at the structure to see. He notices that, like, he can go up from here and like, he's basically sort of trying to make his way towards a more stable area just in case, because this one's shifted a couple of times a little with your weight on it.
Well, we have a responsible judge for this. Also to a case that we're involved in the entire matter, but I don't think they're as interesting. Because whoever this judge is going to have us in their crosshairs now, I fear. They're called Crystal Zalar. If that says anything to you.
I have no idea if that name means anything to me at all. I assume not.
There are a lot of judges, and most of them don't put their names out there, so no, not too much, unfortunately.
I'm just more impressed we got a name for a judge.
I am too. Actually, the report about the mycelium heart, did it say how it was taken, which would give us hints on how to put it back?
It has
technicalities on it.
It doesn't have, like, a blow by blow of what happened, just the overview of what was to happen, who was involved, and when it took place. More like a log than like a full-on mission debriefing, as it were. So no, not really.
Any coordinates listed for where they might have been at when they were doing the harvesting?
It doesn't so much say that. It just says surveyed chamber 12.
Now we need to find a map of the chambers.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That, or we ask your engineer friend over there if he is still on the platform.
Nah, he's gone up and away, unfortunately.
Okay. We can still see it if we can't get the info out of one of the head engineers. Last resort, we can still just ask Terminus, because if they're supposed to go back, he will have to be cooperating. We can't really do this ourselves, after all.
I I'm not sure if we've got a terminus to ask right now. I think they're both indisposed.
We can't turn this to what, sorry?
I'm not sure if we can ask terminus right now with Adhira being out.
I mean, he has shown some capacity to act independently. Fingers crossed.
Maybe, I don't know. They both did. And I'm just going to look at the destruction a lot.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, as stated. I don't think we can really just willy-nilly. At least I can't do this willy-nilly. I don't really have kind of empathy to figure out where this is supposed to go. I think we got about what we could get here.
Heading back.
Any hidden things maybe we could try to look for?
Give me an investigation check.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, with advantage.
Oh no, you've cursed me.
Oh yes, and now you roll a 2. Oh no.
22.
I was expecting 11-11.
The only thing you find hidden away in here, Uther, is a very expensive bottle of whiskey that is half drank, that looks to be some sort of celebratory sort of, when we finish the project, we'll drink this sort of drink.
I'm just going to leave that on the table.
Yeah.
In here, and just not what I was after.
No. No other sort of hidden compartments or resources or anything like that you find, no?
Well,
Off we go.
off we go. Is that engineer going to be able to find his own way down, or should I
He
try
seems
to herd him?
he knows the facility better. He seems to be heading for like another entry exit way into like a stairwell, basically. So like he's off in a direct. He seems to know where he's going as you're watching him from below, Uther, as he's gone up.
All right then, fair enough.
Clara, you're with Adhira as you are sat near Elias. Elias has kind of rolled the man into a more comfortable position, so he's not like face down, sort of, but he's still restrained as this blind man has no way of just breaking the steel apart. He's not a shell user or anything like that. And has very calmly just been saying, "You are aware of where the heart was taken from, the center of the mycelium, yes? You don't have to say anything. Just tap the ground if you do or don't." But the man says, "Yes, I know where it was taken from." And he says, "I think it best if we return it. But my project..." Elias kind of like turns his head up at the empty sort of darkness around him and says, "I think your project is no more. And I know that you might want to rebuild, but as I said, it has had consequences and will have further consequences. I believe that you may have been designed to take a certain fall for that. I think it would be in your interest if we were to come up with a more plausible story as to how all of this went wrong." Clara, you can see the man's brow furrow. Obviously Elias can't, but he hears the pause and the hesitation. And he just says, "Someone put a lot of time, effort, and money into making your project work. And through all of that, they kept a lot of people in the dark. There is only one reason that would be. It is because when the lights turned on, it would be finished, and working and too good to turn down. Well, the lights have been turned on and it is broken, sparking, and it is going to cause problems. Let us restructure all of this. You and I can do that. You understand this machine better than anyone, yes? Clara, is there anything you want to say or do in this moment?
Clara is just going to observe the response, because she's not entirely sure what he means.
Mm-hmm. The engineer says, What is it you're proposing? Elias says, this is a complex machine. No one would fault you if it had gone wrong, especially in a testing phase before anything had really been installed here. Ambaric technology. I can smell the air from the lightning zaps. Who knows what kind of reaction it could have had to all this metal. Perhaps your machine simply malfunctioned while you were attempting a test run to see how it worked. Of course, you wouldn't have needed any sort of permission to do something like that, like you would affecting the ecology down here. And no young girl would have caused all this destruction either. No upset spirit, as it were. No one's done anything wrong then, don't you see? The head engineer just kind of quietly says, what about the other engineers? Elias spends a moment, considers, and says, I doubt they want to be a part of something that is both failed and going to cause them all to go to jail as well, do they? And you're in charge. Everyone here must look to you. Now, the mycelium, you know where it came from, yes? Yes. And you had it brought here. Yes, I did. Then we can have it returned. Maybe. It took a lot of manpower to move. Elias puts a hand, like, kind of up in a, like, shushing gesture and says, I can get people. I happen to know a certain EK that knows these caves like the back of her hands. And he turns his head towards Vesper, who's been at the entryway you came through, kind of watching no one come in or come out. I'm sure that even though she is eager to get back to the city to make her petitions, she'd be willing to help. Vesper says, yeah, if it helps the caves, I'll stay here a bit longer with you. Elias turns back towards the head engineer and says, see, we'll have the people. You don't need to worry about too much. Just show Vesper where you found it, and agree that any equipment that we require that you used for the extraction, you'll also operate for the return. That way, the story that comes out will all be ours. Yes? And the engineer agrees. Obviously, you guys all gather back together. Elias kind of stands to his full height. Sky, would you please remove the bindings from the engineer, from Mr. Grinnell here? She, like, bends the steel away from his arms and legs and helps him to his feet. Says, we're all going to be friends here for a little bit. he turns his head towards Sky and says, Vesper will be staying with me. I think it best you and the students head back to the train. I'll accompany you. Vesper, you keep an eye on the engineers down here and ensure they start work on the mycelium's transfer. Elias starts walking towards the doorway and says to all of you as he gets there, don't worry, I've taken care of it. I just need to talk to you about a few things.
Who is he directing that as? Us, the group?
You guys as the group. Or... Yeah. I mean, he's not able to look at any one of you in particular, so...
Okay.
I guess I'll catch up to him and try to help guide him along.
Thank you.
I'm sure they could take some of the designs that they were using for this machine to boost production in the rest of the caves. Definitely be spun as not a complete loss.
Elias nods. As you guys exit this place, he will explain everything he just talked to the engineer about. Essentially, that he's going to release a story that does not involve Adhera and Terminus, that does not involve the mycelium's removal. In exchange, the mycelium will be put back, and this will be treated as a misfiring of the project, and Elias is going to seek to have the project cancelled and the materials kind of scrapped and salvaged. And you're right, Uther, some amount of what has been done here will be useful and can be sort of respun as stuff to be used and useful, as it were. Obviously, Adhera is unconscious and being carried by Sky at present. Elias will wait until you guys are back into the main sort of train to sort of talk more freely with you, because he would have explained a bit of it before you got to the security gate, and then sort of been quieter on the journey back to the Naiad's Dawn before he kind of gets on board with you to talk in what is essentially Sky's sovereign territory at this point. Elias sits down and says, does anyone have a problem with the solution I propose?
Daver very dispassionately just nods, or shakes his head, sorry. Sir, as I think as just for rounding out what you guys discussed, I believe you were still in the dark on who organized all of this, or at least you don't have any concrete assumptions. We found paperwork from a Crystal Zalar.
He nods and says, I am familiar with the name, but they were one of a group of individuals that this could have been. That is useful, thank you.
We also have the knights that assisted early in the project, if that helps.
It does. It's nice to know who is aligned with who.
That would be Idle and Temperance then.
You see them sort of look up in sort of trying to remember, and then says, I remember the name Idle. That's a golem user. Temperance rings a bell, but I don't think I've ever met them.
other than that, I'll be honest, sir, I'm just looking forward to the field trip being over.
Well, I'm unsure how long I'll have to stay here in Caldaris. I'll hold Vesper Cathy with me as long as I am here. In exchange, I'll have Judge Lemon start the ball rolling on her petitions, but she'll help coordinate with me between Caldaris, the base, the engineers, and the cave outposts. We'll start work on your growl proposal that was described to me by Sky, and I'll work closely with the locals here in order to get things started on recovering what had been slowly taken from them.
I think for a brief moment, after, like, given that that Elias just described that, yeah, I'm gonna rope Kathy into this. Like, she's gonna have to stay a bit longer back here to help organize. Like, brief flash of empathy crosses Daver's face, being like, I bet she wishes for vacation, and now she's not getting that for at least another week, maybe 2 or 3. But then he's like, but I want vacation.
Better you than I.
This is a sacrifice of your time that I am willing to make.
Elias says, for the easiness for Adhira, it would be best that you limit who you tell what really happened here. There will be a official story that will come out. If you can do whatever you can to parrot that, it would assist, but I'm not going to ask you to outright lie to everyone you know and love.
I imagine there may be 2 unavoidable people we might have to tell.
I have no issue with your headmistress or Axel, and anyone you deem close to you that you think isn't just going to go yelling to the rooftops. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure everyone wishes for Adhira to have a peaceful life.
I don't know whether she's going to get it.
Yes,
I
I'm also sure that you will all have choice words for her when she wakes.
Not her I'm having choice words with.
Eat the frog into the desert.
Elias puts his hand on Sky's and says, when Adhira does wake, please ask her if she had given full permission for Terminus to do as he wishes ever, or if this was a more specific deal. If the permissions given were more sweeping, please, you may have to work in order to separate her from the lamp for a while in order to more, shall we say, reset the deal. But if this was agreed to be today, this moment, then I see no harm in that continued partnership, so long as they understand this could have had far-reaching consequences. To which Sky just agrees. Elias stands up and says, well, I should get back to organizing all of this. I will wait for your train's departure and give it a few hours afterwards before I have the engineers report the malfunction that the engineering project has undergone. That way your train is departed and you were plausibly nowhere near the location at the time.
David just nods.
with that, Elias leaves the train with you guys still on board. Is there anything you guys want to do?
Are we about to head back to the academy?
You could well be.
Were there any food stamps near the train station?
No,
Or
they're
is that
they're,
okay.
they're all up the huge elevator.
Oh, did I have chance to go and get my magma slime?
No, but Clara, as you think that, you hear a kind of the door to the train open, and Kathy does step on board with a little capture jar with a egg in it that she holds up towards you, Clara.
An egg?
Yeah, a little slime egg.
I didn't think we were gonna get time. When did you do this?
On the way up, I remembered where the chamber was, and actually Adhira's, Terminus's destruction opened up the fissure. There was a shortcut, so I, ta-da.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome. It looks like I'm going to be staying here for a while after all. Oh well. I'll make it back to the city eventually.
If you need us to do anything while we're there, like if you want to send the first draft of your proposal or something.
Elias said that he was going to have Lemon go over some stuff, but I might send some packages with artifacts and other things to the academy. If you could look after them before I get to the city, that would be nice.
Consider it done.
Oh, and thank you all for saving my life. I better get going.
That's what we're here for.
And then she gives Sky one last hug and says, after I'm done in the city, I'll come visit you in the sunniest place on the continent, but hey, they've got caves, I saw it here. And then she sighs and steps off the train.
She's so cute.
Happy we made it. Get there in time.
Sky carries Adhira to like her little personal room, puts her down in the bed, and says, I'll give word to the front of train that we're heading out, unless there's anything anyone wants to do before I give the command. With your silence, she just nods and heads to the front.
David just tiredly shakes his head.
Yeah, within the next 10 to 15 minutes, the train is sort of readied up. All of the different, like, emplacement things on the outside are pulled away. All of the staff that are required to call back to the train from where they were in Outpost 1. And the train starts to roll away from Calderas, leaving it slowly in the distance. Sky joins you back in like the little communal seating area and says, I told the operators to open up the spirit drive as soon as possible. Told them to put it through their paces. Hopefully we'll be back quicker than we arrived here. Maybe by tomorrow morning, if it's as fast as they say, but if there are delays, obviously that will be a little later.
That's fine, Mommy. I think I'm gonna spend the next half hour in the shower and then just sleep.
Sounds like a plan. I'll keep an eye on Adhira until someone wants to take over.
Somebody just wake me if it's dinner time. I'll see what I can scrounge up.
So Dafer heads
I think
off.
with
Yeah, go on. Sky
the
goes.
would head off to the showers.
Yeah, cool. Sky goes and sits with an unconscious Atira. Clara, Caliban, Uther, is there anything you want to do as you feel the train accelerate and accelerate and accelerate and accelerate as it just keeps going faster, and you constantly feel yourself sort of like pressed, like lightly pressed as it continues to increase in pace. There's also a point where the main sort of like crystal engines cut out, the rumbling through the train stops, and the only vibration is like the wheels against the tracks as the train goes weirdly quiet as it transfers fully over to the spirit like hydraulic engine that's pushing you guys down the track at this point.
Well, that was an absolute clusterfuck.
We survived. Just.
Yeah, correct.
No comment.
Really? From you?
I know, surprising, right?
First time for everything.
I'll think of something to annoy you later.
I have no doubt. I'm gonna go sit and stare into space for a couple of hours, and then I'll probably sit with Adhira if she's not already up.
Mother with a pillow once for me.
Clara, you go and find some space to look into. Uther, Caliban, left alone, the two of you in the sort of main personnel carriage for EKs. Is there anything the two of you want to do?
They're not going to let us leave the city at this rate.
How have you been, Uther?
I'm exhausted.
Understandable. It's been a lengthy mission.
Yeah, a bit of that was out of my skill set.
Oh, do tell.
I don't know how else to describe it. You know, we were being pursued by an entire cave system at one point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I guess that's what teams are for. To make up for each other's shortcomings.
We'll teach you the value of teamwork yet. So what do you think?
And what do I think?
Yeah.
Do
About
pray
everything
tell.
everything going on that we're caught in the middle of.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Everything going on that we're caught in the middle of.
Hmm.
We start investigating a gang in one place, and then we go to another place, and coincidentally we find links to said gang in this other place.
Yeah.
It feels awful inconvenient for us.
Or maybe we're underestimating the extent of their influence. Who knows? It might
guess.
even beyond. It might even go beyond the extensions of Empress City.
It just feels so weird that an organization would be this hard to get rid of for an entity with the resources that Empress has.
Yeah.
An hour passes as the train pushes its way towards the junction. You feel the swing of the train as it slows slightly, and the crystal engine kind of kicks back in, but still you sort of like shift in your seats to one side. It is that motion, Atira, that sort of rocks you awake as it goes from your head to your feet, and then you sort of feel that shake. As your eyes open up, you feel as if you had been to the gym like 2 days earlier and you had lifted weights with every muscle group in your body, like the brow of your forehead, as if you had managed to somehow hook muscles onto that and lift them. Just like your cheeks, like your calves, everything. It all has that ache to it. It's not the worst ache ever. You can just feel that you've used your whole body to an extent that was beyond your limit. And it's sort of like, even opening your eyes, you can feel the weight of your eyelids. It's almost like, in some ways, the worst flu of your life, but there's none of that like head cold feeling with it as well. And as your eyes sort of like flicker, you see Sky, who is watching over you. Atira, are you awake?
Deep inhale, exhale, feeling what I is only going to assume soreness in the very muscles of my lungs and surrounding my lungs. I'm alive. Without even trying to sit up, she's just gonna turn her eyes to the sky and ask, what happened?
You, Terminus, broke the device. It's in a state of extreme disrepair. I wasn't sure what was going to happen for a while there. Elias, he took control. He's organizing the return of the mycelial heart and has agreed with the engineer a cover story. Neither you nor the engineers involved will be named as culpable for what happened. In exchange, the project will be shut down, salvaged, and the Graal will be introduced to Outpost 2. It seems as if we got everything we wanted. It's worked out for now.
Good. I'd hoped didn't have to resort to allowing him to do that, but...
Atira, I know you're tired, but I have to ask, what permission did you give to Terminus?
I told him that in exchange for some things, if we cannot convince the head engineer to shut it all down, I would allow him to reduce the project to its base components, to shatter the machine.
Just the machine, nothing more than that. You didn't promise to allow further bouts of control, or...
No, just this once.
You see her relax a little as she leans back in the chair. She just says, Elias has asked that we keep our stories straight. for your good, for your protection.
Thoughtful.
I'm sure everyone wants to give you a piece of their mind, but I'll sit here with you for a bit, at least until you've recovered a little more.
Please do. This is sore like nobody's business. Going to try and sit up. How capable am I?
You can do it, right? But you've got that like jelly feeling where you put your like weight on your arms and your elbows just like flip in, so you like have to like scoot yourself with your shoulders up and like use the pillow to like prop yourself up more than anything, Atira.
I was gonna say make a Constitution saving throw.
I think
I'll do it. I'll do it for the laugh.
I think seeing you try it here, Sky would assist you in sitting up. She'd like watch you floppy bone once and then be like, yeah, let me just like shift you so you're sat further up.
How does my mouth feel? How does my stomach feel?
Fine. You're not like, you don't feel nauseous or anything like that. You're not like dry. It literally is like just the feeling of like having tensed every muscle in your body and held it for like 24 hours and you finally released it, right? Like it's that sort of weird pain throb of muscle.
How long have I been out?
Maybe 2 hours, closer to 3.
Already back on the train?
We're heading back to the academy. We thought the sooner we moved away from Calderis, the better it matches up with the story Elias is telling.
I think we may have overstayed our welcome in more than one regard.
Yeah, I can at least get you back before the celebrations this Saturday.
Oh, the celebrations?
It's Memorial Day. It's, well, I guess some would call it Empress Day on Saturday.
Do you have any water?
Of course. She gets up and heads out to get you a glass of water. Is there anything you want to do in the brief moment she's not there at here?
Testing my mental connection to the vessel. Make sure it's still there. Make sure Terminus is still functioning. Not much more than that.
You can feel Terminus is there, and I think in that moment you feel the... It's like... I'm trying to work out how best to put this. It's like, you know, like this is a weirdly specific, but you know in the Avengers movie where they've got Thanos and they're like pulling the glove off and it's all working, and then Peter Quill punches him in the face.
Yes.
And he like wakes up.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched that 3,000-year-old movie at this point, because it's longer than you think ago. The pain that Quill probably felt, right, for like losing his cool afterwards and fucking it all up. It's sort of that like shame, but I wouldn't have done it any other way. There's like an apology feeling, but at the same time they don't really like mean it. They're sorry bad things happened to you. They're not sorry that they did what they did, I think is probably...
They're sorry, but they will do it again.
Yeah, in a sense, Atira, you get like the you get the feeling of them being like, I'm sorry that went badly for you, but for me it was pretty good.
It's going to be a conversation later. I'm going to assume with a cursory perception around the room, there are no new locks, no new safeguards against me, or I am not being jailed.
No, as you look around Atira, there's no additional security or anything like that.
Okay, I'm going to flop my little jelly body back on the bed and wait for Sky to come back.
Sky comes back with your glass of water and, yeah, hands it to you.
Cuff saucer wouldn't hold me. Downs the entire water. Understandably very thirsty after such an exertion.
You're supposed to sip when you're not feeling well, but okay.
Water's a delicacy where I come from.
I suppose so, which means you should savor it, right? She puts the glass to one side.
I've also had a heck of a week.
That you have, all of you.
Where's Kathy?
She had to stay at Calderas. She's helping Elias organize the disparate groups. Plus, she has to assist in the return of the mycelial core. No one knows the caves like her. I know it feels weird considering we went there to rescue her from them, but I feel like the danger's past. She knows what she's doing. And she'll be back in the city eventually.
Adhere's face briefly falls, but perks back up at the final mention. I was hoping to see more of her. She's pretty cool, and maybe she could teach me a thing or two.
Well, she should be back in a few weeks, and I know she's been dying to do a show at in the city. I'm sure you could go visit when she's performing.
That'd be nice. Just stay like this for another hour or so.
Yeah, she sits with you for a bit, but eventually she says, I'm sure some of the others would like to know that you're at least up and about. I'm gonna go let them know.
Thank you for watching over me.
That was my job. In some ways I feel like I did, in others I don't, but you're okay. That's what matters. And then she kind of stands up. She heads back to the communal area, knocks on different doors, and says, Adhira's up. She's delicate, but she's able to talk.
I'd be quite impressed if she wasn't delicate.
Listen here, Miss doesn't take her medicine.
It's okay, it's gonna kill you before it kills me.
Sky... Yeah, Sky looks you different, says, yeah, here is up, but I'm gonna get some rest, and I think you should keep at yours, Dafer. There'll be plenty of time to deal with stuff when we're back. Would someone sit in with Adhira for me?
Okay.
I'm saying though, is it dinner time or close to dinner time?
I'm not hungry yet, but I'll wake you when I am.
Okay.
But now I need water.
Yeah, Sky goes to lie down, and Clara, you're able to head into Adhira's room.
Hello, princess. Feeling better?
No, I don't. Adhira stops when she looks at Clara and she doesn't ask the question she was about to ask because she knows it's gonna be a no. But the question was, have you ever gone to the gym? She just chokes on her choice of words for a second and then quietly, a bit more lower energy. Everything is sore, aches, every muscle.
How much do you remember? Or know, I suppose?
I remember feeling anger. We were angry. And then he had the metal around the head engineer. I turned him away briefly, and he reached into my memories, and from there everything, I can't remember more than that.
It wasn't pretty. Effective, I'll grant you, but it wasn't pretty.
Is anyone hurt?
Some pride bruised. I think you ruined Kathy's chance at a vacation. But they'll live.
Good.
What exactly did you agree to?
In exchange for a few things, I agreed for Terminus to take over and tear down the machinery if we could not convince the head engineer with our words.
Not to rub salt in the wound here, but I feel like Terminus took that very liberally with "if we could not convince." You'd barely spoken to the man for more than 30 seconds.
I think he was overwhelmed. I think he did not have the composure he thought he did.
I think he was pissed off. Which,
Yes, that
fair, but also, you can't make promises like that and not keep them. What did you exchange with him?
I will be exchanging what I will be getting. Knowledge. Guiding hand. He will be helping me with my studies in a certain school of magic.
You traded necromancy skills with Terminus. Well, I can't say I agree with that, but it's not my decision, I suppose.
One second. Did Hira just say something and I was the only one that didn't hear it?
No.
I'm also just been moving around my room, picking up some loose articles of clothing, putting in dirty clothes. So a bit far away from my mic.
Then sorry for the interruption.
Oh, good.
There's something about that school that's just... it clicks. And the scary part is I don't know if it's my own feelings or his.
I'm starting to think those two things can't be separated anymore.
So are we gonna keep me company for a little bit?
I don't know. You have to understand, I gave Caliban absolute hell when he did this with the Mistle thing and did something behind our backs. And as I recall, you weren't particularly fond of it then either. And then you went and did the same thing, arguably worse.
Her face heats up in shame as she turns her eyes away. If I had told you, you would have done everything you can to have prevented it.
What makes you say that?
I feel like that's a good check for it here. I don't know whether it's going to be insight or what.
You can make an insight check then, yeah. 22.
She's not used to trusting people like this.
I guess, Clara, you can either say if you're telling the truth, lying, or you can roll a deception check, whichever you'd like.
She's not lying. It's a question. So
Yeah. What... Sorry, if you're looking to mislead with the question, I guess, in a sense, right? Like, by saying it, you imply that you might not have had a problem with it, I guess, is the...
Nope, that's what she meant.
That was a twofold check into both herself, which I got the moment I saw, like, oh, 22, what is this? Blah. She struggles to sort of find the words at first. Clara, do you speak any Lamshi?
Oh, I don't think she does.
Okay.
I speak a lot of languages. I don't think that's one of them.
We're not
No,
to the point
I
of
don't.
eloquent Sylvan dialogue, but
Yeah, that's the
There-
thing. Clara speaks fluent Sylvan.
I'm treating it just the same as with Trade. It's sort of like broken
Mm.
El hello kind of stuff. But there are a few words that come out in Lamshi as Adhira sort of stumbles over herself, and eventually she arrives at, I didn't expect that you would, and it seems that I have misjudged.
You never asked. You have to remember, I grew up in a place that's more trees than people. I feel more connected to animals than I do to most people. The state of the world, its ecology, the balance of natural order, those things come to me sometimes as easily as breathing. It's not that I disagree. Not at all. But by making that decision without anyone else knowing, it put everything we were trying to do in danger. And had I known, perhaps I could have, as an outsider, persuaded Terminus to wait at least another minute. But I didn't know, so I couldn't.
Sorry.
It is what it is. I'm starting to learn that I can't expect everyone else to cater to what I think is best.
If you're here to also chew out spirit, I don't think you're going to have any luck.
Mm-mm. I'm gonna wait until you're not listening to do that, because I have choice words for him that I think you're going to take to heart.
You know what the scary thing is? I could be in a different room and I will probably still feel them. Your words.
I think all of us have good intentions. I'm just not sure all of us think them all the way through. Myself included.
Why don't you come in, sit down, lend me your company, grab a book.
I think I'm going to grab a slime, actually.
You managed to get one.
Kathy brought me one.
Won't set the train on fire. The other
It's-
spirit wouldn't like that.
It's contained. Besides, I think Jello's going to be a good boy. Or girl. Or them. I don't
I'm
know.
going to say Tabasco, but Jello works.
Oh, actually, I like Tabasco more. He's spicy.
And Hero laughs and it sort of like winces and like, ow, pain. I think she reaches over and just sort of grabs one of her filthy young adult romance novels.
Really? In public? Oh.
This is my room.
You, right, you said come in here, sit down, grab a book. Like, oh, what brand of smut do I want to grab from the library of Adhira today?
I thought you brought your own books.
Here, let's
Yeah,
spend time
about-
together while I read softcore porn.
And I read about slime ecology. Like, these
It's
two are
not
not the
porn,
same.
it's smut, and it's art.
Well, so you admit it. Then.
Fictitious debate aside, just kind of don't know if she really has the class to pull off the hair flip over, but she's what? It's what I enjoy reading.
I
Right
didn't
now,
say anything. That was just the voice in the sky.
Akira, you go to do the hair flip, but due to your weakened muscles, the muscle memory isn't there. It goes right in your mouth instead.
Oh, is that part of the novel?
Glaring daggers at you, but gaze softens after a while.
So, Clara, can I just clear something up in my head? Are you staying here, but like holding the slime container and looking at the egg in Akira's room?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
gonna study it here.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hell yeah, okay.
In my head, you were like, no, you can stay in here and read your smart. I'm gonna go to my room and study my slime. But no, you're gonna bring the slime egg in here. It's cool.
Yeah. He needs to be exposed to a variety of experiences, and I suppose this could be one.
I think.
Hey, he is spicy.
A bit too early.
Spicy.
I think staring at a slime requires fewer muscles than turning pages, so I think like halfway through it, here is just sort of laid down on her bed, head turned to the side, watching this little egg.
Clara, as you bring it into this room, it's this little calcified egg, so it's sort of just like a brittle white shell. But there's enough heat coming from the middle that it kind of gives it an orangey glow. And as you sit down with it, you watch as it cracks along one edge. And seeping out of this crack is a viscous orange-red slime as it begins to hatch and break out of the calcified shell. Eventually, what sits in front of you is a little smaller than the other slimes that you have. It's just a very tiny core, about the size of a marble, and then the actual effluvial part of it is quite small, but you watch as it stands up tall, as all the other slimes have sort of done, and sort of vibrates and makes a noise, and then you watch these small pseudopod-like sections of it grab the shell and start, like, covering itself up, creating, like, a little heat-proof dome that it has, like, a hat on its head, or more like a helmet.
I love him already.
Tabasco is so classy.
He's got a little hat.
How could you let me see the light of day without any clothing?
I guess this is more a player question than a question that Hero would think of. But do we have an inkling about what these things might eat, other than just burnable shit?
I think that's basically the full extent of what you've experienced. But yeah, it's just like in this pod that is designed. It's kind of designed for capturing something that's about the size of like one of those big rabbits. Not so huge that it's like the size of like a dog, but like a big heavy set rabbit. So like it's a pretty big glass pod. It's warming up in your grass, Clara, but it's not like grabbing the bottom of like a pan after it's been in the oven boiling hot. It's kind of like when you're leaving something to cool on the side before you put it in the fridge and you kind of put your hand to it and it's got like a warmth to it still. That's how warm the bottom of the glass is, where this slime is sort of sat on it.
Amazing.
To get the second little container for it. I don't know.
We need to test something. Clara's gonna turn to like the little and hold it up to like her hair, hold it up to like her face. Hello.
It stands up tall, which makes its hat kind of fall lopsided on it because it's too tall to like support the width that it built for itself, and it does this little like vibration again.
It does the big pillar as well, Atira, with learning.
Wasn't Big Pillar also a sort of twist in on himself?
Well, this was hello and goodbye. They make the big pillar and they wobble.
Is it safe to put that in the same container as pudding?
Well, I think I'm gonna separate them first so they can get used to each other. You know, like sometimes you do with when you're introducing like a cat to a house of dogs. You like keep them in the room next door so they can get used to each other's scent, and then you slowly introduce them. Because I don't want my fiber slime to end up being subsumed.
Tabasco picks up another section of the calcified shell that it had and starts like clonking it on the glass, like tink, 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 and then like seems to like run its slime over the bit that it was like tapping the calcified slime against the glass, and then tink, 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 like continue tapping on the glass before checking over and over again.
Is it trying to break out?
Maybe he's a musician. We don't know.
Clever Tabasco.
Could I animal handling or insight what might be going on?
Yeah, animal handling sounds good to me.
Lovely.
Tabasco is inventing tool use in front of you and attempting to chisel their way through, as far as you can tell, Clark. There's a particularly nice chair that you're kind of sat on, and Tabasco seems to have made notice of the fine wood that you are currently perched upon, and is attempting to break through the glass at the point where the chair is. Obviously, the shell has no chance of breaking through the glass, but it is still trying.
Look, they can use tools. They're like crows.
I genuinely thought it was like trying to heat up wherever it'd make like a little dink to sort of help break through.
It doesn't seem to. It's like running its slime body over the surface to see if there's a weak or a gap that it can squeeze through. Not so much like, I'll use my body to make the glass more like front. Like, it doesn't seem to be quite that intelligent. Okay. But it is using the shell as like some sort of, device for chiseling through the glass very ineffectively, but attempting to all the same.
Now, my room has already been burned down once, so I'm going to have to ask you to keep an eye on this one.
I'm looking at him. I'm observing.
Don't observe the arson.
I observed the arson the first time as well.
My roof should be fixed by the time we get back.
Speaking of getting back, your journey back is going to be uneventful. The engine is going to be pulled up to its maximum. The train reaches a top speed of 200 miles an hour, which is announced over the tannoy by a very excited group of very squished together and sweaty engineers in the front chamber. You guys will arrive back around noon the next day, as the engine at one point overheats or like overboils. They have to switch it off, so the last leg of your journey is done on the normal Crystalm engine. But the test run of the Naiad Dawn has been, as far as the engineering group, successful on the return journey, as they have pushed it to its limits. Is there anything you guys want to do across a day's worth of travel, like a full 24 hours, that you want to talk about? Otherwise, I'll talk about your arrival back.
I have nothing in mind.
I think after having essentially been like had some amount of time to recover, like during evening time, Dave would prepare some kind of lentil meat stew with 2 salads as a side, one of which he would hand Adhira, that's the temp HP thingy, and the other he would hand to, I think, just to Clara, just since she's there. And like, not as a spoken, but as a, I guess, silent sort of mild, like, gesture of reconciliation, to some degree.
I think Atira, you in particular, feeling your body pain, the meal that you receive from Dafer is like you can almost feel some of the pain sort of melt after a little bit of eating this meal. Like some of the larger aches and the bigger muscle groups sort of like fades away to that incredible numbness after you've been in pain for a while.
Scarfing that down.
I know. Well, we do have seconds and thirds, and I don't think I make enough for everyone to have 2 portions, but yeah, should be fine.
She'll definitely be taking
You guys
seconds.
You guys are holding up. Alright, is that a fire slime?
Oh, I don't know. Is Clara just walking around with this magma slime on them all the time? Just like in like under the arm, like a boombox.
I assume
Look
at
at
that
this
point we're
thing.
all in Tira's room.
I don't know. Yeah, you probably would have to drop the meal off in Atira's room. That's true. Yeah.
So that's a how when? I think I should just not question this. Fire slime then. Okay. Are we sure that's not going to set anything on fire?
The answer is no. I have no idea whether it's going to set things on fire. At the moment, it's fine.
Dink, dink, dink.
He really wants some wood from this chair.
Oh.
I have
think
concerns.
I wonder what practical utility. Thoughts for later.
It does observe the
You guys
hot food,
holding up?
the hot food that you deliver with some curiosity as well. Like it pauses in the dinking to like observe the bowl of food for a bit before returning to attempting to break free with a piece of shell.
Little rebel literally was born like 5 minutes ago and immediately starts trying to break down its walls, its chains, its prison walls. You guys holding up all right? Dave mostly giving like a fairly pointed glance at Atira.
Fine for now, just very sore. More of this, she holds up the empty bowl. Should be good though. Please.
Yeah, in a second. Dafer then like gives a look at Clara. Is sore all she is, or is there more to it that we should be worrying about?
I
I'm
think
good
it's
otherwise.
mostly just sore.
Okay. So, Atira, what were you thinking?
I don't want to get into this now.
Just keep in mind that we're a team. It's a bit of a rough one if part of your team just suddenly drops.
Clara,
I am.
me aware.
I think. I hope we will have, as a group, some kind of conversation about this later. But have your second portion first. I think with that, Dafer would go and grab like a second bowl for Atira. He would also want to have a chat with Sky.
Yeah, you can.
At some point.
Yeah, she would have woken you up to cook anyway, so she's probably sat like either in like the main eating area, or you can pull her away to somewhere else if you need to, Dafer.
I think just after handing Atira her second bowl, he'd grab one for himself and then sit down across from her.
Yep.
With his own. And then talk over dinner. Okay.
She takes a
So
few
I have to
mouthfuls.
ask for that.
She takes a few mouthfuls and then sort of looks up at you and realizes that you want to have something else, like you've got something on your mind. So she kind of puts her spoon down and like sits up a little straighter and regards you and says, "What is it you want to say?"
Less say, more ask.
Okay.
As yes, at the day before, you kind of talked to me about how or we kind of somewhat talked about our further mission goals, and sometimes it goes like you need to tackle problems as they come along, etc., etc. And how my basic position was that we were already stretched too thin and essentially couldn't tackle this. I still feel like I'm justified in that assessment. And I guess it's more a question, also asking for an explanation or something. And like, I feel like the solution to our problems just fell into our laps a lot more easier than they had any right to. I will admit that. I don't know, are military commanders just always that easy to come by? I mean, Wendell essentially rolled over the second you opened your mouth.
I realized somewhere on the way that Wendell was more in the dark than we were. They had been trying for a long time to get access to information that we had managed to discover down in the caverns. It wasn't so much that they rolled over, it's that they were caught between two pincering things, us and Judge Crystal, now that we know that. I simply offered them a devil you know rather than a devil you don't situation, though I can see how from your point of view it may have looked like they gave up the person who had been working in secret. The truth is, the person who had been working in secret made a mistake by not telling the base commander and getting them implicit from the first day. If they had done so, then he may have been more reticent to do as I asked.
But, okay, so that explains half to a third of how we essentially managed to get past an entire secondary set of mission parameters that we had no right to get past as easily as we did.
Mm-hmm.
But that still leaves the fact that we got into a supposedly top secret facility, demolished it, and from the looks of it, we're about to get away from that scot-free.
In some sense, I had to put my faith in Axel and by extension the people he had been working with. I have met Elias a few times, if peripherally, but it's the first time I've seen him in action, as it were. I wouldn't say we got away scot-free. In some sense, Elias and Kathy are going to have to do a lot of work in our stead, but you are right that things worked out our way this time. I would put that down to Elias and, by extension, Judge Lerman.
So given that this worked out a lot better than I had essentially forecast under any mental planning ahead that I could, I guess the lesson to learn here is don't assume factions too early. I guess judge people based on their own interest and just don't assume allegiance, which I guess would explain how
I would say the lesson is you can be 100% right and still things can go the other way. She looks at you, Dafer, and says, I don't think anything you said last night was wrong. But we had no other path, no other way to play. All I did was take the single road ahead of me, and I had to do so knowing that it might not work out, and in fact, it shouldn't work out. But it was the only way towards what I wanted. When I talked to you about conviction, it wasn't in absence of all else. It wasn't conviction to the idea that believing will make it happen. It's that you can still get up and try even though you know you're quite likely to fail. And sometimes it does work out. Not every time, but sometimes.
I think the main thing I had was that every time you invest yourself into such a cause, it always comes at a risk to you. It's, in my opinion, always a risk reward
She nods at that.
valuation. And I feel like I miscalculated on the risk assessment, which is why I think, yes, nothing of what I've said might have been wrong. I think there is something to learn from looking back and seeing what pieces of information I had missed.
This was your first mission, Dafer, and if that's the lesson you take, then I'm more than happy with that.
Well, I mean, it just takes one time to get skewered. So
I think
yeah.
I think you could survive being skewered a few times, Dafer.
Now, yes.
She laughs and picks up her spoon again and just says, "You've still got 3 years of academy ahead, and then you won't stop learning for the rest of your career. Just keep asking the questions you're asking. You'll do all right. In fact, you already are doing well."
Just also as a side question, given how we're under Axel and so on,
Yes.
don't we just assume this is going to be our new normal?
I don't know about that. I know that your academy has something else going on, and I dragged you into my personal business, but Axel's always been in the middle of a bit of a storm, I won't lie to you. But I also think that you will learn more from him than you did from me, at least over the years. I think it's true to say that something is coming for Empress City that is going to change a lot. I said this to Uther, but in times of strife, strength is what you need, and you are at an academy that will let you become strong. You're exactly where you should be.
I think it's just a matter of how quickly we need to get there, because, I don't know, if this is our starting phase, I'm not sure what awaits us a year down the line.
I wouldn't worry too much about the future, beyond the next day, or, you know, what's actionable. And I think Uther and Caliban probably would have been in the space with you guys for that, if Uther and Caliban wanted to say anything and all of that. But if not, we're good.
Nah, Uther's trying to stay awake.
I think Uther kind of also had that conversation with Sky at the bar last night, in a way. And Caliban more discreetly.
Yeah.
In which case, I am proud to say that upon returning to the academy, you guys all level up. I
get uncanny,
Hell
dog.
yeah.
You get
I
uncanny,
get
dog.
to live.
You guys can roll.
Wait, you get uncanny at level 5?
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
No extra attack, but half damage. Very nice. Go ahead and roll HP or anything you want to do now. Add it in. I don't know if we'll go too much longer, because I was sort of just planning to get you back to the academy and get things settled in, but we will go a little bit more than this, at least.
That sucks. That's terrible.
It'll pick up. You'll get there in the end.
Still, that's all basically what Clara rolled. It's terrible.
DM, I have been a good girl who's been taking my meds.
Yeah.
Where is my free max rolls?
Where is your... Well, I mean, have you rolled yet? Look at that.
I'll take it.
See? A 7's an 8 if you squint.
I forget what's the rogue average HP.
5 plus con.
Yeah, that's it.
Meaning 4.
Yes, meaning not as much for you, Uther.
Oh, am I supposed to be? I thought when you took the average, you just took the 5. I didn't know con factored in.
Yeah, no, con still factors in, I'm afraid, Uther.
That I don't win by rolling, but I don't win by taking the average either. Fuck me.
Well, it depends, right? Because if you roll a 1, you get +0.
This also means that once again, I'm going to have to recalculate my HP. Son of a bitch.
We'll just leave it as is, considering the fact you've been taking the medicines. We'll take this as a beauty contest error in your favor for now. It's not a huge number, so we'll just do it from now on.
On my part, I now have extra attack.
Yeah, extra attack for our level 5 marshals, which is Dafer, Caliban, and Atira. And then...
I also am now D6s.
Oh, and you're unarmed. Very nice. And then Clara and Uther are both getting uncanny, both going R5.
And up a sneak attack die.
Ooh, 3d6, right?
3d6.
3d6. And obviously your proficiency bonus increases. You don't instantly get keywords on your weapons, but you'll be able to do that when you're at the academy. Obviously, is add any keywords you want to your shell and to your weapons. So,
most importantly for this build, I have Stunning Strike now.
True.
Finally.
Monk has Stunning Strike.
I think what I would like to phrase this as is in her first fight, her first blow ever, she did Stunning Strike, and that was like an overexcited release of energy. And she has not been able to do it again, no matter how hard she tries until like now. Like now she has finally gotten the measure of
Negligent
energy output proper.
I think as well for you, Atira, you've got like this weird oh god, I forgot the name of the thing that happens when Saiyans are beaten up. Is it Zentai or Zenkai? Is it a Zenkai boost? Zenkai, where like you used like Terminus's power to the full extent of what you could Atira, and it's sort of like when you wake up the next day, when you wake up next day, you're like, oh, I can like more freely sort of move this around now because I felt like how much like I've pushed myself to that limit. Yeah. The train rolls into the East Academy station about noon, a little after noon. Ooh, 1 second. We're back. The engine switches off. The train pushes forward and back, rocks. Steam kind of drifts up from the front of the train and floods the platform briefly. As you look out of the window, you see standing there the frame of Axel. Sky gathers you all up and sort of gets you to grab your stuff. Let's get you back into the dormitories. Guides you off of the train, and as Axel and Sky meet eyes, Sky says, "Look, Axel, I'm sorry for..." And then Axel gives her a big hug, and sort of says, "We were worried." He pulls away from her, looks at you all, and says, "It's best if you head back to your dorms. No practice today. There's paperwork waiting for you in each of your rooms. Topics you missed the last 3 days. I want summaries of all the topics to me by the end of next Wednesday." And then he glances at Sky and then kind of looks over the rest of you and says, "And thank you for looking out for each other. From what I've heard, your mission went far beyond its initial parameters. You all made it back. I'm sorry to say that can't be said for all the classes. A member of Class 1, a girl by the name of Ellie Voss, she won't be returning to the academy as she didn't make it through the mission. Just so you know, before you head back."
That was Kale and
I think
Mistel's
that
team, wasn't
makes-
it?
Yeah, it's Mistel's class.
But he nods, yeah. That's Mistel's class. And as you said, oh god, his name has slipped my head, but you were right. Kale Talak.
The other Haredi that I know of.
Yeah.
Both in and out of character, that means that Class 2 and Class 3 are also no...
They're fine.
heritage.
They've made it back okay.
So is Kale Talak also injured?
No, he's fine. It's just that that's who Adhira knew was in that class.
Ah, okay.
There were lots of people worrying about your class because of how long you were away, speculating.
Mhm.
So don't be surprised if people are excited to see you.
Well, let's start getting our stories straight on how Uther valiantly slew the bone spirit.
I'm just going
I
to
didn't
repeat
select
over
shit.
and over
I got
again.
a lucky hit in. I live
Yeah,
to tell
That's
the
all you
Depends.
need.
That's it.
You have trophies.
Fuck yeah, I
Just
do.
going to say over and over again that explosives solve a lot of problems.
You make your way back to the dormitories. As you head inside, it's about midday, and it's combat practice day. So some students are sort of like out practicing. Others are, below ground in simulated combat against the miasmic. As you step into the main dormitory area, also on the approach to the dormitory, there's scaffolding, and you can see that there is construction in progress as a second floor is being added to most of the dormitory buildings in the academy, getting ready for next year when East Academy will take on twice as many classes in the first year. So as you step through into the main building, there is some construction work going on above you, so there's a little bit of noise from that, although it's light. Waiting in the main room, actually in the kitchen right now, baking, is Anastasia Fjordes, who, upon seeing you all come through the door, her eyes go wide. She kind of pulls these oven mitts off and runs forward excitedly, but then peters out in her steps, unsure whether she can crash into a hug. So she sort of slides near to a stop and says, "You're all back. I was so worried." She has a slightly sheepish look on her face before she says, "I was distant before you all left. I was dealing with my own stuff, so I was worried that the last..." I'm glad.
Have you been keeping?
Yes, busy. It was mostly me here. Everyone was away on their missions, but having conversations with those who were still around, some of the year threes, and at this point, Seth rounds the corner, looks at you all, and just gives a soft smile and says, "Knew you'd be all okay."
Well, they tried. It did not succeed.
First mission always sucks. Although, yours went on long.
We ran
You say
into
sucks?
unexpected complications.
He nods. I'm sure you would all like to get comfortable, unpack.
Please.
Oh, Atira. Do you mind not going into your room for a bit?
Sure, I can step out. Can I leave my suitcase stuff here?
Yeah, just, well, actually, take a seat. I gotta grab someone. I'll be right back.
Did you say something or someone?
Someone.
Eyes are narrowing. I don't know what this is. I don't have concepts of surprise parties.
He runs at the door and, like, turns into grey powdered dust, slips through the middle, and goes full sprint across campus.
I think I know what he's doing. But I think it's best left as a surprise.
Elias and Clara high five. He just appears out of nowhere.
Thank you.
After you guys go off and start putting your stuff away, eventually returning is Seth, is Andres, and is as well Tamara. So the three of them come into the dorms together, and Andres, like, walks up to you and, very similar to Anastasia, awkwardly is like, "We were kind of worried. I mean, I knew you'd be okay, but and then he, like,
I'm shutting up his stammering with a hug.
he kind of hugs you back and says,
It's nice to see you.
"It's great to see you too." Seth and Tamara give each other a look, with, like, Seth being like, "This is kind of cute," and, like, Tamara's, like, making the gagging motion behind your back.
No, she visits at night. I don't want to hear.
Andrew says, "They fixed your room. I wanted to show you."
Alright, let's go check it out.
Opening it up, you can see that the ceiling has been painted to look like a night sky from Home that you described to Andrus. A lot of your save stuff has been put away and kind of packed up and put in here. But in addition to that, a bookshelf has been put in, and you can see that Verity has donated a lot of her books, and they're all filled in and on the bookshelf for you.
I need to make a check with her. What would you say would be the associated stat with keeping emotional composure?
Wisdom, a wisdom save and or check.
Let's say wisdom check. I just feel like save should always be like from external.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. 14. I would say that, like, I think a 14 to me says that some amount of emotion probably would escape it here.
I think her breathing hitches a little, and there is a bit more moisture in her eyes as she is sort of whelmed by care and consideration. Well, it's not overwhelmed, it's not underwhelmed. I am being whelmed.
Seth says, I painted the ceiling and Tamara put together the furniture. I couldn't have painted the ceiling if not for Andrus, though. He was able to recreate the skies of whatever it is he does. Andrus kind of scratches the back of his head and says, you like it? I wasn't sure.
I love it. Thank you. Can I ever repay you?
Well, that's not what doing nice things is about. So don't.
I'm going to walk forward and plop back on the new bed.
Mm-hmm. Andrew spends a second and goes, oh, and he closes the curtains and closes the door, and the stars on the ceiling start to softly glow. Not like glow-in-the-dark stars with that pale sort of green, but like actual sort of soft twinkling of lights.
How did you do that?
Well, he kind of raises his hands and like constellations spiral around his fingertips and like soft sparkles glow off the tips of his hands and says, because I can.
So out of character, that is his magic put into the paint, or is that like an enchantment that he has set down?
That's his magic put into the paintwork. So it is an enchantment, but it's not like from a crystal or anything like that. It's the magic of like fate essentially woven into the ceiling.
Part of him is in your room forever.
If this was any of like our normal campaign settings, I would have been like, yeah, I can understand it. But like having now gotten accustomed to like, okay, we owe everything to the crystals and spirits. It's like, how? Whoa!
He's the chosen one.
He doesn't like that name.
He doesn't like that name, but you know, he does have a unique set of abilities.
Oh, Andrus, this is beautiful.
Glad. And then he goes, oh my god, I need to get back though. Sorry but I was in the middle of something when Seth. We'll talk again tomorrow, festival in school. I'm sure everyone will tell you about it. And he sort of like turns on his heel and says bye and kind of rushes past the rest of the group, says bye to them as well and says, I'm so glad and happy you're back. And then kind of bolts out the door. Yeah, hi, bye. Tamara heads into the main room, sort of kicks back on the sofa, looks over her shoulder at whoever's nearby and just says, so, what happened?
I don't know. Officially we went on 1 mission, but I feel like we went on 5. I feel like I can even barrel down mission parameters for all 5 of them. It sucks.
Missing person cases, faction warfare within a city. Well, there wasn't active warfare. It was a cold war. But
like it was, yeah. I mean, mission 1, find Kathy. Mission 2, make sure the city doesn't blow up on itself in some kind of civil war faction thingy. Mission 3, find some organization that is doing stuff. I don't know. Mission 4, find missing person, blah 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 blah. Mission 5, figure out what to do with new folk of creature that might be helpful. I don't know.
Seth sort of like
that seems swell, people.
Seth chuckles as he's like helping Anastasia in the kitchen, pulling baked like croissants out of the oven, and he just says, mine was slightly less convoluted. Strange still. We found traces of humans living in a miasmic infested tower worshipping some sort of angelic figure. odd that they were alive in there at all. We found no trace of the actual people, just evidence that they were around for a while before the miasmic killed them. Strange, but yes, dangerous.
We found the remains of a city that worshipped a bone spirit. Bones were still there.
He tilts his head at that one. That is interesting as well.
Raging.
Oh, and Uther killed a dragon.
Absolutely.
Tamara, like...
I survived.
I am so proud of you, Sammy, continuing my agenda.
No, I survived a dragon.
The dragon didn't survive.
That's because there was a bigger fish in the pond at the time.
Uther got a dragon killed.
Uther got a dragon
That
killed.
That I didn't. We can say that. That is not a lie.
Well, you... Okay.
Tamara gives an appreciative nod all the same and says, Noctis and I just did a pretty standard sweep and clear. I mean, the miasmic we dealt with were by no means pushovers, but in comparison to you and Seth, I think we got off fairly easy.
Oh, we had so much shit going on. There was a train attack before we even got where we were going.
Tamara and Seth stare a look and say, we saw something in the newspaper about that. The Paladins of the Empress, yes?
What about Paladins of the Empress?
Isn't that what was written in the train?
Yeah, paladins.
It was in the newspaper, yeah.
Hmm?
And she...
That wasn't even the train attack I was thinking of. There was two train attacks then.
Oh.
Train was being harassed by miasmics.
Oh, well, yes, that's not uncommon. Very often your missions will be, well, for want of a better term, derailed in order to help out others on the train system.
I came back with a new slime.
I saw the slime. I wasn't, actually, I think some paperwork came through for you about those.
About the slime? They're not taking them off me, are they?
No, it looked like a club formation request form.
A slime club?
I think that's what they were.
Is there enough interest for a slime club?
She shrugs and says, I just know that, I guess, Clara, you took some resources from the engineering club for the tanks, for the slimes?
Oh, yeah, I did that.
I think that some of the engineering students may have logged the things being taken, and that may have resulted in someone pushing a form under your door or something.
I'll have a look at it.
You're nuts.
Oh, speaking of forms, apparently we've got loads of, catch-up work to do. I don't suppose you guys managed to get back in time to not miss all the stuff that we need to do?
She laughs and says, well, we got back in time, but, year two.
Damn it! Or from last year?
I mean, they've probably changed it, but I could hand you what I had for last year.
Just, for a starting point.
Sure.
I feel like we're going to have a lot to do already, and something tells me we're not going to get enough time in between now and when they're due to actually write them without being taken by someone else for something.
Seth and Tamara...
you expect the trend to continue?
I don't think it's going to slow down, I'll put it that way.
Seth and Tamara share a look for a second, and Tamara says, while you were gone, a letter was distributed around some of the districts in Empress City the peacekeepers came and took them, and the staff told us to get rid of any copies we had as well.
Did anyone not listen to that?
I kept one because I thought it was unfair that everyone else would get to read it and not your class. If you want to, it seems to be from whoever's in charge of the Empress Paladins. It's a direct letter to the occupants of this city, in a sense. If you want to see it, just let me know.
That seems important.
How about I slip it in with the last year's work, Clara? You can give it a look and then pass it around if anyone else wants it. But once you've all seen it, get rid of it. I don't want to get in trouble for this.
I'd appreciate that.
She nods.
Adhira, still in her room, sort of enjoying the feeling of a proper bed against a sore and tired body, is going to look up, make sure no one else is around or seeing, and she's going to pull out the pieces of jewelry that she had taken and not turned in from the underground city.
It glints in the starlight.
Oh, it's even prettier now. She's going to hide away the emerald sort of necklace, like huge disc sort of thing, the geode ring, but she's going to fashion the gold bracelet to her arm, the one with the intricate but like a very unique design. She is going to put her stuff on top of the schoolwork that was sort of laid for her. I'm procrastinating already. She is going to grab her weapon case, and she's going to grab the lamp. She is going to leave her dorm, move over to Clara's door, open it, and leave Terminus's lamp on the desk.
Okay.
I'll be back. I don't want to leave you to her, but she wants to have her conversation, and I think you perhaps owe her one.
There is a soft acknowledgement.
I'll be back for you. And she's going to turn and rejoin the others before she heads out to drop off her weapon.
Sorry, why is Clara dropping off her weapon?
No, Adhira's
I'm
dropping.
not.
I think
why is Adhira dropping off her weapon?
She's going to get an upgrade, but she's like now in the main room with the conversation and everybody else.
Yeah. I think Adhira's looking to use that extra keyword slot.
Yeah.
Is there anything anyone wants to do that day apart from head into their room and check out the work they need to do? Or obviously, Clara, you've got a couple of pieces of paperwork in there, but
Yeah. And here are you mentioning you're going to take your weapon?
Yes.
I'm going to fold up all the blades of Family Matters, and I'm basically just going to write her like a post-it note of like, can you tell them to do this, this, and this?
She rolls her eyes, but she takes it nonetheless.
I'll get some of your work done.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else you'd like me to drop off?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I suck at the writing and the schoolwork and the 2 + 2.
Clara is the type of person to do all of her revision on a Google Doc and then just like email out the link.
Like, she gets math, but the moment they start putting letters into the number game, it's on her.
The number game.
I think from somewhere in the background at some point, Dafer would just be like closer to evening-ish after having had like some chat with everybody else. Dafer would just like give a quick shout to the rest. If anybody wants my notes, I'll work my way through through our paperwork this evening. Happy to share.
Oh, do you want to like do different sections?
Oh,
I was gonna
split
get
it
some
up.
done.
Oh, that would be fantastic. That actually
Yeah,
gives me more
like-
sleep tonight.
If we're both gonna do it and share, maybe we should just like not double up, and it will save us some time.
Yeah, perfect. I'm all on board.
Clara gives Dafer a smile that says, "I haven't forgotten, but it's nice to be back to normal."
Yeah,
I'm
you.
holding my tongue.
I guess you divide the work up between your like stronger subjects between the two of you, and then just yeah. In which case, do you both want to give me an intelligence check with advantage?
Sure.
Okay. And do I actually
Thank
have
God
to
for the
make one?
advantage.
What
Day for it. 20.
Nice.
Yeah. A little bit brain dead, Clara, and with a bigger, thicker pile than some other people. Sitting down, you can see that there is, in fact, a request from the staff for you to give a name to the club that you're forming. It has some details written in there about study of slimes. It has some information about budget that will be allocated to you. But it's like partially filled in by the staff, and then the rest of it's been left blank for you, Clara. Obviously, this seems to have been like assumed and passed through to you, but it's up to you whether you want to like fill it in or return it and say, actually, no, this was just for a personal project or whatever. But
Founding patrol. What the fuck, people?
I think I'm probably gonna like expand the definition instead of like just slimes
Mhm.
to be like maybe
Oh,
a little bit more encompassing out of like unusual creatures.
yeah,
This is like care of magical creatures.
yeah, it kind of
basically.
is.
But yeah, I think she's gonna expand the definition, but I'll go drop that off like at some other point.
Yeah. The letter from the head of the Paladins, I will finish writing up because I've got about half done, but I'll actually post it in the Discord and you guys can read it or not read it if you want to between sessions, and we'll cover that as how it was passed around.
Sick.
So one question. So the Clara's Club is in general for a like kind of monster pet, or like what is the
Unusual creatures, so like magically attuned creatures. In 5e terms, it would be called like the Monstrosity Club in a sense, like something like that. Yeah.
Monster High.
Aberrations and how to train them.
Monsters Inc.
Caliban, when you get back in your room, there is a letter from the Azalea Foundation. You can tell at a glance as you look at it because of the way it's pressed and like the decoration along the top border. You've had these letters a few times, usually them inviting you to functions, but this is much thicker from a distance, like big, heavy set letter. Unsure what you want to do with it, Caliban, whether you want to just like put it to one side or open it up and give it a read straight away, or whether you'd rather focus on the homework.
I'll give it a read.
Opening it up, it is a series of documents about different tests that have been done. And looking at it, it seems to be a new product of the Azalea Foundation that they are trying to get to a point that they will market. The final page, so like the actual interesting part of the documentation, the rest of it's just like technical documents for some sort of construct. The last page essentially requests, as a long-standing member of an Azalea Foundation project and a esteemed member of a family that has been giving donations and like blah blah blah. It's a bunch of ass kiss for a little bit as you're like skimming through it, Caliban, but it eventually summarizes that you have been deemed worthy for testing procedures, and they would be delighted if you would be willing to be a part of a private testing of a new construct product that they are essentially going to attempt to sell to the peacekeepers. It looks like they're trying to make some sort of golem that is a bit more advanced that will be used for military purposes, and they want your help in testing it out. And that seems to be the full summary of the letter at the back.
Is there... May I do an insight check on trying to see, like, what they mean by testing it out?
Yeah, give me an insight check.
Beat the shit out of it.
I was gonna say, am I gonna fight it?
Looking over the other reports, it is reports of it in combat with different miasmic or running like gauntlets under gunfire, things like that. Yeah, it seems like they want you to fight it, Caliban.
Alrighty. Normally Caliban is like, oh, this is just gonna be like same old testing, needles and all, but if it's gonna be a combat session, you might as well get some fun out of it.
And the project, the construct that you'll be fighting is labeled as the Clarent frame.
Clarent.
Yeah. Like the
sword?
Like the sword.
Gotcha. What does I know this is just like I know this is just for like the framing of another like world and such, but I'm assuming Clarent is also a sword within this setting.
Yeah, give me a history check.
Right.
Clarent was another weapon held by an angel, not an archangel. But it was a weapon that was supposed to be able to wield restorative abilities, so the ability to heal, regenerate, things like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I guess in some sense it's taken the sheath of Excalibur's lore, in a sense, that regeneration that the sheath of Excalibur, Avalon, sort of has from, yeah.
When are they wanting me to participate?
It's not so much that, but they've got like a response form for you to fill in if you wish to be a part of it when you're free, because they wouldn't want to give you a schedule, Caliban. You're too important for them to tell you when something's going to happen. You have to tell them.
Okay. I'm guessing like whenever is...
whenever is good for you. They will be ready and waiting.
Alright, I'll just like fill out the response form and then go back to studies.
Yeah, do you want to give me an intelligence check?
Sure.
Jesus Christ, guys. Uther, anything in particular you want to do that evening?
Just a once over of my room, see if anyone's been in it, put stuff away, and probably go to the workshop.
Yep. No one's messed with the room or anything like that. You've seen people have been here to clean. I think that's probably about it, Uther. Someone came in here a couple of times and like dusted and stuff, but. And then Uther, yeah, I guess you'd run into it here at the workshop with 2 other sets of weapons. What are you guys dropping off? What do you want done with the engineering students?
Clara, what does your note say? What does the note on yours say?
The note on Clara's is that I am having... Let me double check because I wrote this down somewhere. I would like them to remove the armor piercing that I have on it, replace it with spell storing, and I would like them to add some world wood to my weapon, please. The grip is already made out of wood, so I think they just need to take off the wood that I've got on there and replace it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, any student could do that. Basically, Adhira, that's your normal refit of different aspects of a weapon. So that can be done.
I am at a crossroads. First, I want to take off the throne property.
Mhm.
With whatever I am adding now is going to make it too heavy to be thrown at her current strength. And I don't know whether to choose two from spell storing, wraith ashes, and necrotic damage type.
Mm-hmm.
Like two out of those three, and I just don't know which two.
I think Uther, as you come in, you see Adhira sat with Izzy, Dylan nearby, having got off the train this morning, but currently working on Clara's weapon. But yeah, Adhira and Izzy are sort of like talking about what could be done to the scythe at this point as you step inside. What are you looking around for, Uther?
Someone that could help me understand if there would be any mechanical difference between handing over the dragon's claw or horn.
And this is for making a weapon out of, or like what are you looking to make it into? I guess
that is a great question. I'm not sure.
So
I have these pieces and parts. I don't know what to do with some of them.
So, you could have the horn turned into a grip, so for the sword where the handle is, or you could have either of them shaved down into thin strips that can be placed along the edge of the blade. They're going to have different effects, but because it was a seismic dragon, it will have something to do with either creating rough terrain, seismic sort of knocking things over, or it could also allow your weapon to cut easily through stone in particular. So like you could use it to cut through a wall easier than you could a person, in a sense. Like it's like a burrowing weapon, if that makes sense, Uther.
Interesting.
Imagine if you were trying to get through a tent and you used a knife, you could just like cut through like that in order to get through the tent. Your sword would be able to do that with a stone wall.
Fascinating. I also need to hand over the shards from the wall of the tunnel, the ossified tunnel. See if there's anything that could be done with that.
So you want the ossified tunnel shards looked at? Are you guys handing over the divergent miasmic shell for copying into a keyword as well?
I think that would also be my vote.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Alright, so you're handing over those two then, Uther will say. And then there was something else you were about to say.
I think I'm gonna hold on to the horn for the time being, but if anyone wants to use the claw for something, that's more than fine.
So the claw can be the claw can be used to add that burrowing property to a weapon. It won't use up a keyword slot, but like what it will do is it will put an edge on a weapon, and if you have something else that would put an edge on it, you'd have to remove the old one, if you see what I'm saying. So it would be like a size, yeah, it's like a seismic like edge to the weapon. Alternatively, the claw can be used to make a single-use consumable that would have some sort of 4th level earth based spell in it. I don't know all the 4th level like earth terror sort of tinge spells off the top of my head. Maybe Wall of Stone or something like that is 4th level. But
that's 5th.
That's 5th. Okay, so something up to 4th level, and it would be a one-off use. So think like the brass dragon grenade that Clara had, but something to do with a earth spell. Atira, do you have any way forward on what keywords you think you want to...
I think as long as you don't think it's giving too much at this level, I would like to go with both the revolver cylinder spell storing, and treating the wood parts of the handle with the wraith ashes.
Yeah, wraith ashes and spell storing. So both of yours and Clara's weapon will be able, you can pick it back up in the morning when we pick up next week, basically. So that will be ready when you get back to stuff in the morning, although there will be a festival tomorrow, but yeah.
Can I also raise some mischief here?
Yeah, probably.
I see Uther walking about with his stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
I am going to start spreading the word that he's the Dragon Slayer. Just sort of like start off with kind of nudge her in the shoulder and tilt my head towards Uther. There's that Dragon Slayer.
Wait, the horn and claw that Uther got, that you didn't just, it wasn't like a
dragon.
But it wasn't like alive when you found it. You I mean,
No,
I just assumed you found a skeleton.
It was animated.
You mean it was she killed an undead dragon?
It was an undead dragon.
Holy shit.
Uther managed to take it down. Well, help take it down, but he got in close and he got off a portion of its head.
I mean, he uses a sword. I mean, you have to get pretty close to a dragon to use a sword on a fucking dragon.
There's something wild
in the end.
He's daring.
He seems so...
In the end.
He seems so sort of, I don't know, bookish.
That's what the dragon thought.
It said that?
Yes. Out loud. Oh my god.
The dragon was like, what are you going to do? You look like a bookish nerd to me. And then Uther was like, bookish nerd this, and fucking cut its head off with a sword. Is that what you're telling me?
I think there is a brief flashback where Adhira remembers the giant pulse of sound and these two beasts screaming against each other. We're going, yeah, basically that.
Wow.
All we can say, as truthful fact, is that in the end, it was pretty much Uther mostly on his own that was facing down the dragon, and it's not that is the entire truth to it.
If
he came out of it alive.
If I had a nickel for every time the party turned Wald's character into some sort of legend, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but
I'm going to kill Adhira. Roll a new character sheet.
You don't want me to roll a new character because I'm going to make it everyone's problem.
You already do.
This one isn't everyone's problem. Love it.
I think that's where we'll leave it off for this week. We'll pick up tomorrow with you guys picking up your weapons and the festival and moving on from here, but there are some bits and pieces like questions like what to do with this claw and stuff, but if you want to get it to me between the weeks and I'll give you the letter and stuff, but this feels like a good place to sort of leave off with you guys returning to academy life. And level 5.
Yes.
Woo.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I was so
I'm
fucking
mad.
deserved after this field trip. Oh, hell.
Oh, we're
I also
gonna...
rechecked all my math. I have somehow managed to come out to the correct number.
Oh,
after
cool.
Rechecking the math.
You probably,
I
like...
don't fucking know how.
You probably, like, did it right, and then forgot, and then thought you were doing it wrong, but actually had done it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do that sometimes with
I
weird
promise
shit.
you I did it wrong because I wrote down
Clearly
the
not.
math in my character sheet on how I got to what I got, so...
It's just like check working, it's just like completely wrong, but the last thing is the right answer. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know at this point. I don't care. It worked.